Hi everyone and welcome back. So I thought today we could do just a quick little gift guide or like gift ideas for knitters that they can like hand out since it is the holiday season. It is November. It's about mid-November. So honestly, if you're going to make people gifts, one, you probably should have started earlier if you have a lot of them. But if you're just making like one or two, or you just want, something easy to make, that you can like hand out, if it's cold or something, here's some ideas since you do have a little over a month left before the main gifting for, a lot of major holidays, especially in like the US and stuff, it's almost Christmas. I have a couple of ideas. I don't have exact patterns because I want you to be able to like feel like you have the ability to choose for yourself whatever you want, what your pattern to look like. I will link a Pinterest board of like some of the ones I really like in the description for you, because I like to save them for myself. But yeah, I have just a couple ideas. I think first, before I get into like some overall topics or like overall gifts you could give, I wanted to give some advice. If you're like if you picked up knitting or crochet recently and you're just like, just starting, or you want to, like, you understand how much time this is going to take. Like, some of these are big ticket items, so it's going to take a little bit longer to like, sorry, I'm going to get comfortable on the couch. It's going to take a little bit more effort to make them. It's not just like something you can knock out in an afternoon, some of these ideas. So I think it's good to cover ways to, one, save yourself the amount of time it could take to make said project, and two, make sure it's something that the person you're giving it to would actually like. I struggled with this a lot when I was younger, in making gifts. I would sometimes not take into account, I'd be like, I want to make them something because that means it shows how I care about them, because I'm willing to make them something that might take me, dozens of hours and like I'm spending a lot of time on, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna like it necessarily. And so I think that's one thing to take into account, is what that person might like. So I think some good general things to ask yourself when you're going to make someone a gift is, one, what do they like? Like what are their interests? What are their hobbies? If your friend's like really into Taylor Swift, you could, if you like someone you love, like someone you want to spend time making something on, because you shouldn't just like make things for people because it's expected. Like it's not, I don't know, like emotionally, that's not something I really want to do. Like if someone expects me to make them something, I just kind of like don't want to do it. Like I want to feel that, like I want to make you this, let me do it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is to keep in mind maybe like what kind of colors they like. What if they have allergies, or if they have a preferred material. Not everyone is gonna like certain materials or the way things feel, and that's just like personal preference. So it might take a little bit of like watching what they wear or what they think is interesting, what colors they might like, what do they like. They might like a color but they don't wear it if you're making them something to wear, so that's something to keep in mind. So color, keep in mind like what colors they like. Keep in mind what kind of materials maybe they like. Do they have a preferred fit for things? If you've watched my knitting podcast, especially the first one I did, I mentioned I was making my boyfriend a sweater, and I have yet to finish that one. Have I started another one for him? Yes, but that's beside the point. But he doesn't like turtlenecks. The pattern I found was a turtleneck. So the way I'm fixing that is I'm just adapting it. I'm going to make the collar shorter so that it's like more tailored to what he likes to wear. But the other thing is, I also took into account what kind of colors he might like. It's Star Trek themed, so I had set color palettes. But I knew like his favorite color from Star Trek, I knew like which one he liked best. I couldn't do that one exactly because the yarn I picked didn't have that color, but that's my problem. That's something I did. But I also knew that if I made him this sweater, he would wear it at least once. And for me, it was the first one I'd made, so I figured it would be something kind of like easy, dip my toes into. And if he doesn't like it, oh well, I can rip it out and try again. Like, it's not the end of the world. But that was something I was willing to take the risk on, was him not liking the fit or the color or the yarn I made it out of. That was I was willing to risk that, if that makes sense. Because this wasn't like a Christmas gift kind of thing. It was more of like I'm gonna knit him a sweater that he can wear. So take into account what they like to wear. Maybe, you know, if there's someone you see frequently, like just watch what they wear throughout a week and see if maybe, if you're making them something they can wear, see if you can like figure something out that they would like. Maybe see what they, you know, just like in general. If you can like relate it to their interests, that's always really good. Basics, I don't know. Another thing is, if you're going to make something big and like really labor intensive, like say you want to make them like a blanket, or you want to make them a sweater, or you want to make them something large. I like to make blankets, so like that is something I enjoy. It is worth it maybe to get their opinion. I know that kind of like defeats the purpose of it being like a surprise, but at the same time you can say, hey, I want to make you this. What do you think about this pattern? You can try and be crafty if you want. You can ask other people, but I think at the end of the day it is always helpful if you don't know for sure and you want to know before you spend maybe like hundreds of hours making something. It is worth it to ask and to be like, hey, do you want this? Like, what kind of colors would you like? Would you like something like this? Maybe you could like send them an idea, say would you like it, and then you can, that's something easy to figure out. And also, I don't know if you're gonna have a lot of time to make something massive unless you're using really big yarn. But that's your own time constraints would dictate that. But my top 5 picks, if I'm gonna make someone a gift for like Christmas or their birthday or just for whatever, I have 5 go-tos. If it is wintertime like it is now in the States, I will go with something easy, like a hat or a scarf. These are scarves. I just found 2 knit scarves I had in my closet. I like wearing scarves. I don't mind a good knit hat every once in a while. I don't wear too many of them because I ruin my hair. I get it to dry just so, and I like it to stay that way. So I like scarves. Yeah, I have a couple scarves here. I'll usually wear these knit hats, knit scarves. They help keep you warm. They can be made out of any sort of material you want if you're trying to go kind of budget friendly. Yeah, an acrylic makes a fine scarf, or you can make them something nicer. You can do any kind of stitch, any kind of color. You can switch it up. So yeah, hats and scarves, a classic, a beginner friendly, you know, perfect for when you need something fast, because I have made hats, like crochet hats, in an hour. They're easy, they're fast, they're quick. My second one, if you're a little bit more advanced or you like to work bulky projects, would be if you're a more advanced knitter or you like knitting socks would be a good one for Christmas. I've seen a lot of those as like Christmas time gifts, especially because they can keep your feet nice and warm. And that one I would be careful, because at least people I know, some of them don't like knit socks, and that just might be the gauge or something. It's just like, you know, some people just, they don't like certain textures, so that might be something to watch out for. But I did get one year. I got a pair of slippers that someone had crocheted, and honest to goodness, they are the like most comfortable things. I love them. I love them so much. So like socks or slippers might be like a good little gift. Especially if there's something they can like throw on over other clothes. Like if you make someone a pair of like real nice house slippers and they can just like chuck them on over other socks, they're probably going to wear them all the time, especially when it's cold. So that's a good one. That's a good. always a safe bet. Well, maybe not as safe, but it's a decent one. I like to do accessories. So this is where you can do things like scrunchies. I've seen crochet earrings, shawls, scarves, headpieces, like head bandanas, small things that they can make. Those are always, or small gifts you can give them. I think those would work better as like stocking stuffer ideas if you like want to put things, or you want like a bunch of small gifts to give someone, like something like a scrunchie would be great. I know there's a lot of free patterns out there for like how to crochet or knit your own scrunchie, and those can be pretty cheaply made. So if you want to make like a bunch of them and just give out scrunchies to everyone, that would be a really great idea. If you have children you want to give, like children or people who like stuffed animals, obviously, especially if you make them with like plush yarn, perfect. You can find a pattern, you can make it in a week, and maybe, I don't actually know how long those take, I don't really make them, so you can try stuffed animals if that's something you like to make and you think that the person would like them. Go ahead, make a stuffed animal, because you can customize it with color, and then you don't have to worry about it fitting because it's a stuffed animal. The last one that always kind of goes over decently well is like clothing. So think sweaters, cardigans, I don't know, sweaters, cardigans, things like that. That's another good one. Those and blankets, like Afghans, any sort of knit crochet blanket. Those can be iffy, and so that one I would definitely, one, know you have enough time to finish or make or do whatever. Two, I would also, the blankets not so much unless you know that you're going to spend a lot of time and money. There was like a thing on TikTok where it was an am I the asshole, because this lady had made like a really expensive quilt and given it to a young man, and then he didn't want it, so he gave it back and all this stuff. And like that on its own is like, you should be careful about like making things that the person might not actually like. So that's where it helps to talk to the person you want to make it for, or maybe just like don't make big ticket items like that unless you know for sure they're gonna like it. I don't think I've ever gifted someone a sweater, obviously, yet, because I haven't finished them, but like when I planned the test knit that I'm doing now, I planned it with my boyfriend, so he knew, one, what the sweater was going to look like, two, what colors were going to go in it because he picked them, and three, he knew what yarns they were because he picked them. So that's something to keep in mind, is maybe including them in the gift would make it more likely that they're going to wear it. Because I know as a kid, my grandma knit me sweaters, and honestly, I wish I had worn them more, but because I knew she had knit them, I didn't want to ruin them, so I never wore them, which then led her to be like, I don't want to knit you something you're not going to wear, which now is like, oh, that's sad, because she spent all this time and money making sweaters for her grandkids that we didn't wear because we didn't want to ruin them, but at the same time, it would have meant they were worn, so that's a whole other thing. So just be careful with sweaters, because those often have the biggest, like, I knit you this thing and it took me hundreds of hours, and they're like, well, I don't like it. So be careful there. And be careful with blankets, because those can rack up. Your hours on those can rack up, and then they don't like them. You know, you're just kind of like, I spent all this time. So yeah, I don't know. This one's kind of dumb. I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about possible gifts you as a knitter could give out. But yeah, so my top 5, well, 6, I guess, if you count blankets as separate. My top, would love to hear what you guys think would be good holiday gifts to give, or if you have any extra thoughts to share, that would be great. I will link a Pinterest board of my suggestions. I'll try to include both free and for sale patterns on that board because I understand everyone's got different price points, and maybe like something maybe you don't mind spending a little bit little bit of money on a pattern. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you next week.